everything was ready. The moment God had been waiting for was here at last. God was coming to help his people, just as he promised in the beginning. There was a young girl who was engaged to a man named Joseph. Joseph was the great-great-great-great-grandson of King David. One morning, this girl was minding her own business when suddenly a great warrior of light appeared right there in her bedroom. This was Gabriel, an angel, and a special messenger from heaven. When she saw the shining angel standing there, Mary was frightened. "You don't need to be scared," Gabriel said. "God is very happy with you." Mary looked around to see if perhaps the angel was talking to someone else. "Mary," Gabriel said, laughing with such gladness that Mary's eyes filled with sudden tears. "Mary, you're going to have a baby, a little boy. You will call him Jesus. He is God's own son. He's the one. He's the rescuer. The God who flung planets into space and kept them whirling around and around. The God who made the universe with just a word. The one who could do anything at all was making himself small and coming down as a baby." Wait, God was sending a baby to rescue the world? But it's too wonderful, Mary said. And she felt her heart beating hard. How can this be true? Is anything too wonderful for God? Gabriel asked. So Mary trusted God more than what her eyes could see, and she believed. "I am God's servant," she said. "Whatever God says, I will do." Sure enough, it was just as the angel had said. 9 months later, Mary was almost ready to have her baby. Now Mary and Joseph had to take a trip to Bethlehem, to the town King David was from. But when they reached the little town, they found every room was full. Every bed was taken. "Go away," the innkeepers told them. "There isn't any place for you." Where would they stay? Soon Mary's baby would come. They couldn't find anywhere except an old tumble-down stable. So they stayed where the cows and the donkeys and the horses stayed. And there, in the quiet of the night, God gave the world his wonderful gift. The baby that would change the world was born. His baby son. Mary and Joseph made a soft bed of straw and used the animal's feeding trough as his cradle. And they gazed in wonder at God's great gift, wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger. Mary and Joseph named him Jesus, Emmanuel, which means God has come to live with us. Because, of course, he had. That same night, in amongst the other stars, suddenly a bright new star appeared. Of all the stars in the dark vaulted heavens, this one shone clearer. It blazed in the night and made the other stars look pale beside it. God put it there when his baby son was born, to be like a spotlight shining on him, lighting up the darkness, showing people the way to him. God pulled out all the stops. He'd sent an angel to tell Mary the good news. He'd put a special star in the sky to show where his boy was. And now he was going to send his big choir of angels to sing his happy song to the world. He's here! He's come! Go and see him, my little boy! He sent all those angels to sing for an old bunch of shepherds watching their sheep outside Bethlehem. In those days, remember, shepherds were people that others laughed at and thought poorly of. But God must have thought shepherds were very important indeed, because they're the ones he chose to tell the good news to first. That night, some shepherds were out in the open fields, warming themselves by a campfire, when suddenly the sheep darted. They were frightened by something. The olive trees rustled. What was that? The beating of wings? They turned around, and standing in front of them was a huge warrior of light, blazing in the darkness. "Don't be afraid of me," the bright angel said. "I haven't come to hurt you. I've come to bring happy news for everyone, everywhere. Today, in David's city, in Bethlehem, God's Son has been born. You can go and see him. He's sleeping in a manger." Behind the angel, they saw a strange glowing cloud, except it wasn't a cloud at all. It was angels, troops and troops of angels armed with light. And they were singing a beautiful song. "Glory to God be fame and honor and all our hoorays." Then, as quickly as they appeared, the angels left. The shepherds stamped out their fire, left their sheep, and went to Bethlehem to a tumble-down stable. They knelt on the dirt floor. They had heard about this promised child, and now he was here, heaven's son, the maker of the stars, a baby sleeping in his mother's arms. The baby would be like that bright star shining in the sky that night. A light to light up the whole world, chasing away darkness, helping people to see. And the darker the night got, the brighter the star would shine. Far away in the east, 3 clever men saw the very same star. The star that God had put in the sky when Jesus was born. They knew it was a sign. A baby king had been born. They had been waiting for this star, and they knew it would come. "He's here," they shouted. "He's here." And I'm sure if you were there, you would have heard them laughing and dancing and singing until the sun came up. At dawn, they packed their camels and wrapped gifts for the baby. They brought their most precious treasures of all, frankincense, gold, and myrrh. Special, sparkly, and lovely smelling, gleaming things. Just right for a king. The wise men rode their camels night and day and night until they reached Jerusalem. Suddenly, the star they had seen in the east started moving again, showing them the way. So the 3 wise men followed the star out of the big city, along the road, into a little town of Bethlehem. They followed the stars to Bethlehem and to the baby king. 3 men knelt before the little king. They bowed their noble heads, and they gave him their sparkling treasures. The journey that had begun many centuries before had led 3 wise men here, to a little town, to a manger, and to a little child. To the king God had promised David all those years before. But this child was a new kind of king. Though he was the Prince of Heaven, he had become poor. Though he was the mighty God, he had become a helpless baby. The king hadn't come to be the boss. He had come to be the servant. This is the story that has been passed down to us, the story of the baby king, the story of God's own Son who came to be with us. And this is the beautiful story we pass on to you. Come and meet the shepherds, hear their stories. You can come up and pet their sheep. Come and meet the wise men, ask them about their journey. You can even come and meet the Holy Family, Mary and Joseph and the baby Jesus. If you'd like, you could even have your picture taken with Mary and Joseph and Jesus. And maybe you too will want to share this story with others this season. The story of the baby king, the story of God's own Son, the true reason for this season. We're members of St. Paul's, and you can see our steeple at the other end of the field. We'd love to invite you to come and worship with us on Christmas Eve. We'll have a service where children will help tell the story at 6 o'clock, and then we'll have a candlelight service at 11 o'clock, finishing at midnight. We'd love to have you come and worship the King with us then, or anytime. Until then, we want to thank you for being a part of this telling of this beautiful story. And we want to wish all of you a merry and blessed Christmas.